Today's show is brought to you by tintackers.com, your source for sweet aluminum beer signs from your favorite craft breweries. Tintackers.com carries hundreds of official brewery signs you can choose from to enhance your brew room, bar, or lounge area. Make your walls happy by visiting tintackers.com today. Use our promo code HOMEBREWER to receive $10 off your first order over $30. That's tintackers.com, promo code HOMEBREWER.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
How should the water flow during your sparge? Brew day music choices, preventing dirty glassware, and should you worry about pre-boil contaminants? This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 230. Hello and welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. Today, I'm joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com right down there below me, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
That's funny. I'm the side of you on when I look on my screen and James is below me.
The people watching see you below me. So
okay, good.
You're below me.
That's appropriate.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm on the ride.
Yeah, you're over my right shoulder on this one. You're right there.
You're right there.
Yeah,
Todd's
exactly.
Right there.
Yeah, see, James has the layout correctly. I wish I wish I could always show y'all how it looks on my screen, because sometimes I'll say something, or I have to watch the monitor because sometimes I have it on just me like this, and Todd's doing some goofy face. I'm like, oh, I gotta catch that, and switch back over, and then you're done doing the goofy face. And it makes
we were waiting for Todd. He had a meeting, so we got to play in with.
That's right. Doing all the set. Look at that background on James. And that is something we all see. Oh, look at your puppy. I like that. We were talking about
my favorite one.
Oh, I love that one. Memories. Huh.
Memories.
You know, one of the few things I like about Facebook is the memories function. Every day it says, "Oh, on this day 15 years ago, you posted this." Well, actually, sometimes it's depressing because I'm like, God, I've been on Facebook for how many years? But sometimes the memories, I'm like, oh, look at that. That was before I had kids, and oh, I was thin and in shape. Actually, I hate the memories function now that I think about it. Anyways, moving on. Welcome to the show. I got an email recently, and this is kind of relevant to the show. I'll work this in the segue for listener feedback one day. They were making fun of me because apparently the way I emphasize things, like tonally, is pretty predictable. They're like, every episode you go, welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answer. And so I'm going to try it new now. I'm going to do it differently next episode. Welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show.
The Al Gore tone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's man, bear, pig.
Well, you know what that reminds me of on YouTube? I know you watch a lot of it. Chef Todd's that way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever listened to him, but it's just grating. But he'll go, hi. Hi. I mean, it just in rhythm like a song.
And I apologize.
You just have to go to closed caption.
I was going to say, I apologize to people who are like, well, they're going to close. It's like the guy who left us that review, how we ruined his run. People are like, your tonal roller coaster is just ruining my day. Anyway, we actually have a lot of small talk. Let me start off by saying, yesterday, Todd, was my 13th anniversary with the company.
Happy anniversary!
Not a phone call.
Yeah.
Not a phone call from you, Todd.
I didn't have any.
No.
Yet. How do you know that?
Because
is it written somewhere?
Facebook memories. I'm
Facebook
sure.
memories is absolutely how. Yeah. Thank you, James. It is Facebook. I put on Facebook when I got hired by you. I don't know why it was a big deal.
I will tell you the same thing I tell my wife. If you want me to remember a date, remind me before the the date happens.
I don't want. No, we talked about it last week. How my 13th is coming up, and you're like, that's an unlucky number. Let's not celebrate that one. So we didn't.
Okay, good.
Yeah, wasn't too big a deal. But I can't.
13 years. Wow, that's a long time.
Time flies.
Yeah.
13 years ago, I was just a lowly keg washer with big dreams.
Yep.
And
November will be 6 for me.
I know. Well, that's what I mean. Is time flies. I feel like we just picked up James, and 6 years ago.
Yeah,
that means we had you on the podcast like 6.5 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. I was still working at the other job. I worked the other job almost 15 years.
I was going to say, well, we had you on. Maybe it was not that far ahead of your employment. We had you on before Todd even considered you for employment. I mean, before that was not even. That was all connected eventually, but it wasn't like hey, this guy I'm thinking about hiring. Let's have him on the show. You were an active brewer in the area, and
he actually Todd looked for me. I still remember the day he walked into where I worked.
He's old school. He just barges in.
Thought, what a cool guy. He was so super cool.
Is that what you thought? Really? Is that?
Yeah, I really did. I thought that was a pretty classy thing to do.
Barge into your current employer. I'm headhunting you.
Well, he just was interested in anybody else that might homebrew. And somebody had mentioned my name to him, and he looked me up and introduced himself. I thought it was pretty classy.
It is cool, and he has good taste when he's hiring people, and he makes good choices.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's you're known for your good employment practices, Mr. Burns. But anyways,
thank you.
Yeah, so 13 years. Also, it hasn't been renamed yet. So this month's Super Duper Homebrew Club recipe kits.
No, it's renamed right now.
Is it? Okay, fine. Let's start with that. Okay, so Todd, today is the conclusion of the contest where we had some great submissions, I was told. I didn't get to participate in this at all.
I didn't either. This was Todd's baby.
He was not lying when he said, I'm going to pick the winner and I'll announce it. So I had some hints. He gave me some names at the beginning, and one of them, or a few of them, I was like, oh, those sound good, which then made you seem angry that I liked some of the submissions.
Oh, yeah. The one I ended up picking is the one you liked the best, so I really tried hard to find a different one, but it was the best one. What can I say?
All right, drum roll. What is the answer, and do you have the name of the person, or do we need to find that later?
I just told you a minute ago. You don't remember?
Yeah, don't throw that on me. I wasn't listening. I had my ears
I'll have
plugged.
to go back. I thought you were. I thought you were listening to me. I can find it real quick. It's
okay,
right
you
here.
sound like my wife. I thought you were listening to me. Really?
Blake, but I don't remember his last name. Villerman. Blake Villerman.
And what was his choice? That's the winner. You're the one announcing it. You did tell me, but I'm trying to give you the benefit.
So I do have a question. His suggestion was the Trub Club, but I'm wondering, because you know how I love short, I wonder if we should just call it Trub Club. Or should we call it the Trub Club?
No, Homebrew Happy Hour Trub Club, I think is what.
That's what I thought too. I like Trub Club.
So
he still wins.
Yeah, but you still win. And the prize is he just now has to claim whatever recipe kit he wants on kegconnection.com.
Or because we didn't use maybe we could, not give him the prize.
We just
semantics.
Our show's reviews just went down.
No, Blake, we are more than happy to give you the prize. We are extremely happy to get rid of that old name, which shall not be mentioned going forward.
It's not be named.
So from now on, it's Trub Club.
The worst part is I have a sweatshirt from Teespring coming in that says Super Duper Homebrew Club on it. They take like 2 months to send stuff sometimes, and it hadn't come in yet. So now I'm gonna have.
Just don't wear that in the office if you don't mind. Or on the podcast.
Hey, can you put up the animation on that?
Yeah, right now. Yeah, so I did. So Todd told me it was actually one of the first submissions for this contest, because I was bugging the hell out of Todd the first few days of, hey, give me some names. I want to know some names. And he goes, here are my top 3. And I made logos based off the top 3. And so here on the screen right now That is.
How come I can't see it?
That's not how Zoom. That's not how Zoom works. I guess I could try to do a screen share. No, you'll see it when I publish it, and you've seen it.
Okay,
I sent it to you, but on the screen right now throughout this is the new logo for our homebrew club. So we now I'm going to make some shirts with that logo and recipe kits for the monthly selections. We'll start having that emblem on the cover art so that other people who are on the site can also see what we're brewing every month. And we're really trying to incorporate more. Like, my favorite part about our homebrew club, the newly named Trub Club, is the communal part of it. The community is the absolute best part of homebrewing. Specifically, our community is the best part of what I do every week. And so I want to grow our community, even if they're not members of the club. I like the idea of, oh, you brewed this. Oh, here's what you did differently. Like all the conversations that happen on our private Facebook group and on any of our social medias, people commenting, is my favorite part of our job. Easily.
Yeah.
Like, we have some really interesting cats in our community. So I'm looking forward to it. Todd, I think you picked a real winner. Blake, congratulations.
Really good name.
And we did get some other good suggestions. I will say we got some really, really bad suggestions too. I think it was people just trying to mock Josh, which that's so mean, guys. Yeah. I don't know why you
would never do that. Yeah, you don't understand that at all. You shared some really bad ones, and I think we all agreed because we don't know if their tone was sarcastic or not. Let's just not share the bad ones. But there was
they were almost as bad as Super Duper Homebrew Club.
Okay, I'll share one because I'm fairly confident this is not a serious suggestion.
Oh no! Don't.
They said that we should name it the Josh Loses Another $5 Bet Club.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that has a ring to it. It really rolls off the tongue.
It does, yeah.
Todd doesn't know.
Oh, you know what? We have a problem here.
What?
I didn't realize this. He had the same suggestion without the, but he spelled it completely differently.
Who did?
Troy Stouffer. He also said Brow Club.
No, we didn't.
Oh, Brow Club.
Yeah, we didn't go with Brow Club. That was one of your top choices, though. But
yeah. So that was a great one too, the Brow Club. But we ended up settling on the Trub Club. So I think it's a real winner. I'm excited about it, like I said. And this month's Trub Club recipe selections, to remind y'all, is the lemon shandy or the Irish red. You can join our club still right now only through patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. We are now working with getting our in-house solution launched. Worst case, someone was like, if you just put up your PayPal, I'd rather do it that way than go through Patreon. And there's been a pretty big delay on that. What's the issue at this point?
So we're using the plugin solution we run a WordPress site, and I'm giving as much details as possible because if someone out there is a developer or knows WordPress better than we do, maybe you can email me, joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. It's called Wishlist Member, and because we're trying to not just launch a way for people to join it monetarily, we're trying to create a community on our website, like a place where, because James doesn't do Facebook, a lot of people don't do Facebook, but everyone who has access to the internet can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and go to club, log in, and have discussions there and an in-house forum and all that kind of stuff. So we needed a solution to be able to basically verify, are you a member, and give them credentials and create this kind of community thing. And our server was having PHP issues with the version of PHP that the site was running, and we updated it, and then that killed our server. And we're using a company called HostMonster. If y'all think they're garbage, let me know. We've used them for like 10 or 12 years, and this is the first time I've been like, gosh, this is not working out. But the PHP issues was the biggest hurdle for updating it using this plugin and not killing our site altogether. We've implemented a bunch of other solutions, but yeah, it was just trying to get everything to work cohesively. When we were running just a static informational kind of website, it was like, oh, no issue. Yeah, this is working great. The second we made it complicated with some kind of forum community type thing is when our server was basically like, oh no, it was never designed to be able to do that. And we're like, what? Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. Thanks.
So we're trying to work through that, and it is. I'm in a beta testing of just in our in-house of seeing if it works, because we need it to be able to handle traffic. And as our site traffic grows without the community component to it, we just have to be able to handle it all. So that was probably, Todd, you look bored.
I'm getting ready to go to the doctor later. I'm experiencing some pain. So
okay. Well, you asked. I was dragging it on because you asked. But yeah, we're still trying to get there. But if you go to homebrewhappyhour.com/club, you can see all the information there. And if you want to get this month's recipe kits, again, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Were you going to interrupt me? Or was that a sound of pain?
No, Joe just walked in to give me a message. So,
okay.
But we're doing the podcast right now. So say hi.
Hey. All right. And we already did so before we get to the questions, I have one more thing. We get a lot of feedback. Most of it's good. Some of it's critical. And some of it's just goofy. And I'd like to say that this one is in both the goofy and good because our buddy Marty from Omaha sent us in some listener feedback. And I thought, you know what? I have enough of these kinds of voicemails or text messages or emails banked up that I'm going to create a new segment before we get into questions that I'm calling listener feedback. And this morning, I made a very quick bumper. So for our new segment, before I get into Marty's, here we go. Oh, wait. No, that didn't work. Hold on. It's going to work.
Do you want me to say something? Or?
No, how dare you? Hold on. Here we go. Oh, here's the bumper now. Here we go. It's time for listener feedback. And here's our listener feedback from Marty from Omaha.
Hey, guys. This is Marty from Omaha again. I'm not one of those kind of people that gets hung up on this stuff. But I am of Lithuanian heritage, and I had a little bit of German in high school, and every time you say Brautag, I don't know why, but it just kind of gets to me. Shouldn't it be Brautag because we're like celebrating the German heritage of brewing? Like I said, I'm not one of those kind of people, and I don't want to nitpick, but it just gets me every time. Sorry about this one, but you guys take care. I love your show. I've been listening for a long time. I learned a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Marty. I love it.
A legitimate question, but we are in Texas, and we have a very large German population who, after a few generations, gets a Texas accent. So all the Germans in Texas now pronounce it Brautag.
Yeah, it's Texas German. Look it up. It's a true thing.
I was going to say, wait a second. So we've been pronouncing things wrong? No way. I
get that all the time. I don't know what it is.
That's why I thought it was the best question. I was like, wait a second. There's a chance that us good old podunk Texans might be saying things wrong. I'm going to start now over enunciating Brautag. So anyway, the Brautag that we've been developing is the ball's still rolling on that. I do like to when people always preface, I don't want to be one of those people. And then he started nitpicking. That's also my favorite part.
Well, even when we're in Germany, we can say something in German like Brautag, and then Stefan will look at us and go, "No, Todd, it's Brautag," and I go, "Brautag," and he'll go, "No, it's Brautag,"
every time.
And I'm like, "That's exactly what I just said." No, you didn't.
Every time.
So, you cannot pronounce German properly. It's impossible.
No.
We literally had that conversation with one word from the office all the way to the bus station one time.
Of how to pronounce it.
And I'm in the back seat listening, thinking, I hear the same thing.
Yeah.
So
every time.
On right.
Yeah.
Every time.
Like, what's wrong with my ears? Because I said it right. Yeah. Eine. No, Eine. Yeah, Eine. No, Eine. Okay. No, Marty's a good dude. Marty's actually, I think, the first voicemail we ever took on the show. Ever.
Cool.
He was the first person to leave it. And so we know you're a long-time listener. We know you mean good. You shouldn't have told me it bothers you, though, because much like Todd, now all I can think about is saying Brautag. Every time we talk. Shouldn't have told us that, but I do. I think we should do a listener feedback every week as long as we have the material, because I like it.
Okay.
And I made that 9-second bumper. I don't want it to be made in vain.
The funny thing is now is when we finally do publish the video that we did, if you'll notice, I've been saying Brautag.
I do. Oh, you know,
and he'll say, "See,"
Yeah,
I took care of that problem.
And you did it before because we recorded. It's in the bank. That video is just we're waiting to get our ducks in a row in regards to the retail side of stuff, but we have all the production stuff done. You've been saying it correctly since before we were told to. So kudos on you, James, because I still say Brautag.
It sounds so weird though when I try to say it correctly. I feel stupid.
I feel stupid. Well, it goes against everything my face and mouth want to do. I don't want to say Brautag.
I want to say Brautag.
I want to say Brautag. Yeah, but anyway, that's all the small talk and stuff we have. I've got 4 questions for this week's show, starting with the first one from our buddy Thomas, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Thomas wrote, "Hey Josh, I love the podcast along with the videos on YouTube. Thanks for the great information. I know you dogged on Reddit, but I did see an interesting discussion about how the water flows on top of your mash during the sparge. Specifically, does it even matter if I try to break up the water flow using a colander or whatever, or can the water flow straight from the nozzle onto the grains, or can the water flow straight from the nozzle onto the grains without any issues? Is there a point to using devices or attachments to spread the water flow out, and what is that point?" Thomas, that's a great question. I will say one of my favorite videos from the Brautag video that we're going to publish soon is the sparge arm attachment that James has made for these units. That's my favorite part. And now I have to wonder, did you make it because it looks cool, or what is the functionality of the sparge arm attachment you made that does, it's a beautiful shower that it puts over the grain bed.
Yeah, it's designed to slow the flow down. So here's the way I think. This is what I think. This is my personal opinion. But when I do a sparge, I like to have about 2 inches at least above the grain bed. But then when the water coming in, sometimes on some systems that have it on the side, so they got a nozzle on the side, what happens is the force of the water coming out can actually burrow its way down into the grain bed. Even though you do have water on top, we have seen it kind of get to where, what can happen is you can isolate that flow through that specific area. So when you slow the water down, you can do it with a colander, you can do it with a plate, you can even do it with a shower head if you want, but you just want to sprinkle it in to where it's not forcing its way. And so 2 things happen. If you have a 2-inch above the grain bed, that water above the grain bed helps to slow the velocity of the incoming water down. But what we use, the nozzle we use of all things, is stainless steel. It's a sprinkler head nozzle for like buildings, and it breaks that water flow up. And so we don't get the kind of tunneling factor that can happen with water flowing in the sparge. So that's why we do it. We tested it and it seems to work pretty good.
What issues might arise if you just, like, if we took that nozzle off that you have on the sparge arm and that water is just going straight down at whatever flow rate it's going? Will there be any issues that you...
Well, that's what he was just saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
tunnel down.
No, I mean, like, what, like,
you only get a small amount of the grain is being rinsed instead of all the grain being rinsed.
Right. Correct.
Right,
so I mean, it can actually just the flow of the column of water that's hitting that can actually work its way into the grain, and it'll move the grain away, and it'll just continue to burrow down through the grain bed. So
less sugars converting, or
instead of filtering the whole grain bed, you're doing a section like this. Yeah, so you might get some flow, but your efficiency, you could monitor your efficiency comparing the two, and I think that you would find out you'd have better sugar extraction the other way.
Yeah, and before we came out with that part, which we've been using for a while, the one that we're using on the Brautag, what I used to do is put a piece of hose on the nipple that came out, run that piece of hose out, kind of curl it around, and then I put a plate in there. So it serves the same function. You're just trying to smooth it out and not have it shoot down and just affect one part of the grain bed.
Well, and on the
a colander is a great idea. I hadn't thought about that.
That's a great idea.
That's what I was about to ask. I was going to say, using a colander would not present any issues. I mean, because it's going to break it up in a pretty effective way. I guess I would, because I'm lazy, try to figure a way to rig it to not have to hold it the whole time, like doing this number with both hands there, because you're sparging for upwards of an hour or 45 minutes, give or take. So that might be, I like on the Cooler Brew, which, Marty, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Cooler Brew. On the
it's Cooler Brew.
Cooler Brew, man.
On the Cooler Brew, y'all have that like little aeration thing in the tubing. I don't actually know the functioning of like what other implementation you'd use that nozzle for, but it works wonderful as well. And and
we played around with that on the Brautag, and I had actually, there was three things we worked on that unit because I showed Todd we used a piece of silicone hose to attach it to a nozzle. And then I thought about making we looked online for a big enough, like a stainless steel shower head that you could attach. And it was just basically a sprinkler head. I even looked at sprinkler heads, had to be stainless steel and had to be big enough to utilize that open 17.5-inch opening on the kettle. And then for some reason, I got to looking at stainless steel sprinkler heads on Amazon of all places. And I saw the little, the fire stuff in there, and I thought, well, let's try that. Ordered one, and it seemed to work pretty good. So that's how that happened.
I'm glad, because it's cool. And I know obviously when we're sparging, you don't open wide open ever, but I wanted to because of how cool it looked. Because it is just like you said. I mean, that's what it's made for.
Yeah, I'll make a cone like that.
Oh, it was so cool. Where I was like, oh no, go back down. But it did a phenomenal, and it's like a little. I mean, it's like a corkscrew looking thing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, look at that. It works beautifully, and also too, Thomas, there's a lot of conversations online about DIY solutions. If you don't want to go and buy from a company a pre-made kind of sparge arm, there's a lot of people use PVC. Now, I don't know the degree to which you can get PVC without it leaching. I doubt it's during sparging, because I see a lot of people use PVC solutions. So I don't know if that's good or bad. If that's
it'll just get kind of soft. It did with Big Bertha. That's what we used.
I see a lot of DIY solutions for sparge arms, but and they look cool though. They'll put they'll do like a cross and have holes in it, and when water's coming, it's just kind of looks like a crop waterer, right? Like one of those things that you water in the cornfield or something. But there are, like James had said, breaking it up, the functionality is to even out your sparge. You're trying to give your grains the best chance possible to convert every bit of sugar they've got and give you everything from them. If you're just going straight down, you get that tunneling effect, like you said. And now, is it mean you're not going to make a good beer? Of course not. But you want to give your batch the best chance possible. So if you're doing sparging, specifically like how we do with fly sparging, breaking it up with a sparge arm is a pretty affordable and easy thing to do to, again, give your batch its best chance, right? I think I said that correctly.
Yep.
But anyways, thank you for submitting the question. This is a great time to remind people, if and when we take your question on future episodes of Homebrew Happy Hour, we do give you a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com, courtesy of Mr. Todd Burns. So moving on to question number 2, came from our buddy Bill T, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Bill wrote, here's an important question that I've never seen on your podcast. What kind of music are you blaring on a brew day? Your brewing videos never have music in the background. Maybe you aren't jamming out like the rest of us. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Our brew videos don't have music from our brew day in the background because we don't have copyright permission or licenses, and we don't want our stuff getting kicked off. James is always blaring music when he's brewing, and I would say like classic rock is typically your go-to.
Yeah, lots of Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, AC/DC, Metallica, that kind of stuff.
And Todd, speaking of our videos, Todd's always the biggest critic of the music beds I pick for our videos. I thought that was, I
don't necessarily mind them. They're just, I know there's a certain amount of free music that you can use. It doesn't have a license to it, but does it all have to be 70s porn music? I mean,
it's lo-fi hip hop most of the time. And you're like, listen, it sounds like someone just ordered a pizza or a plumber and they need their pipes cleaned. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
That's great.
This is what the kids are listening to, man. And he's like, our audience our audience is middle-aged men in cargo shorts. What are you doing? I'm like, whoa, whoa. You don't know that. I'm middle-aged.
Don't forget the flip-flops.
And all I'm doing, guys, is describing HomebrewCon. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's my favorite part of HomebrewCon. That's my favorite Lorena Evans story, is when she's like, I was meeting a person at HomebrewCon. He was like, I'll be the guy in cargo shorts. And she's like, oh, that narrowed it down. The white guy in cargo shorts. But anyways, Bill,
great.
No, music, like I said earlier, my favorite things about Brew Day are, first off, the community part of it. I always brew with my pop. That's my favorite thing. The activities we do, we play a lot of cornhole, drink beer. But of course we're jamming music. I have a very eclectic, I'll listen to whatever. So usually I let other people pick the music because it doesn't bother me what's on. There's very little music that I object to. On a brew day, I'm with James, where I like the rock and roll because it's like, whoa, yeah, like it's productive, right? I love jazz, but I don't know if jazz is a great thing to blare on a brew day because there's like that.
Well, Joe does. So
yeah. No, he blares Fish and trying to think other psychedelic.
That's not jazz.
No. He blares psychedelic rock, where I'm like, brew day, but I should be on shrooms. We're like, oh man, the kettle's talking back to me. But no, music, of course, music's the best part of, or one of the best parts, because like at Todd's barn, when we're not filming,
he's got the ultimate.
He's got the ultimate setup, like speakers on top of speakers in every wall, and a huge subwoofer.
Yeah, I was very impressed. His choice of speakers and his whole setup, I was like, damn, dude.
And it's indoor, outdoor, so even when you're outside cleaning, the music's still blaring. So, there goes my lights. Oh well, I don't need that light. But anyway, music is fun. Todd, you also seem to be but Todd, I know one time I played some like Eagles, and he was like, "Can we change it? My wife blares this in my house every day."
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's a certain genre of old rock that my wife plays every time we go anywhere in the car, and she plays it all day at the house. And I love the music, I really do, but I've just heard it. I've heard every song like 10,000 times. And when I'm not around her, I like to hear something different.
That's right. Yeah. I think I put on Take It Easy. I was like, I'll start a radio station. And he was like, I've listened to this song 1,000 times this week. Can we listen?
This week? Yeah.
This week. Yeah.
So that'd be like Hotel California.
Yeah, exactly. Where I need to pick B-sides, and then maybe he'll go, okay, I've only listened to that 500 times this week. But
I don't know. A grunge metal would be probably my favorite brewing,
Absolutely.
Soundgarden, Pearl Jam.
I'll say
Alice in Chains for sure.
90s rock. 90s rock is always a good pick for me because it always puts me in a good mood. Any 90s rock. Like I'll start a radio station, even if you do one like we use YouTube Music. If you do a radio station off of like Third Eye Blind and Losing a Whole Year, boom, it creates a great playlist where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a kid again watching Jurassic Park. This is the best day ever.
I listen to a lot of outlaw country when I'm just by myself, but I'm like you, Josh. I like almost every genre, so I can listen to what most people, 90% of what people put on.
Yeah, if there's a picky person,
unless they're maybe like 18 years old, and then I probably couldn't listen to them.
Or I will say this about Todd though too, if he knows, because James isn't the biggest fan of jazz, and James let Todd know that bothered him. So one time on a car ride to the airport, Todd, we were picking up James, and he goes, "Hey, put on some jazz." I was like, oh, "Why?" He goes, "James hates it. Put on some jazz." He
didn't even say anything. He knows better.
You're way too nice, James. We went and got gas an hour and a half later, and Todd, we get back in the car. Should we change the music? And Todd didn't finish the sentence, and James is like, "Please, yes, anything, please." I was like, "You don't like."
He's just no fun at all, is he?
No, you don't play because Todd knows when he does.
Well, I was outnumbered. We had two people that chose the station, and so that's kind of the rule.
Oh, you play by democracy, not me, man.
Plus, the driver gets to pick. That's always been the rule.
Yeah, you're way too nice.
I do like old jazz stuff, though.
We did. We listened to a bunch of Thelonious Monk, and again, you got to be in a mood for it. But
there's worse music to listen to for sure. So.
Yeah, there is. But anyways, great question. I don't think we have ever discussed music. So thank you, Bill, for submitting your question. Moving on. Question number 3 came from our buddy Ed, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. And Ed wrote, I love the podcast, guys, and I really enjoy the dynamic between you all. I'm a craft beer enthusiast from Austin that started brewing last April. This isn't a homebrewing specific question, but I'm hoping you can help me figure out how to clean and store my glassware. I feel like every time I grab a pint glass from my cabinet and pour from my own taps or even a bottle of my favorite beer, I see millions of bubbles stuck on the inside of my glass. I've learned from posting photos to beer groups on Facebook that it's from the glass being dirty, but I certainly wash all of my glassware before it goes back up into the cabinet. Is there anything I can do to help prevent my glassware from becoming dirty enough to show all those bubbles? I want to share beer photos without the ew, clean your glass comments. He's not wrong.
Oh, God. Yeah,
lots of that.
We see that a lot. I know it drives you nuts, James, when
it does.
Y'all are real paranoid about it, even when we're doing something. I know that a lot of times you'll mention it, but I would say I struggle with this all the time in my barn because even though I have a good glass washer and I get my glasses extremely clean, there's a lot of minerals. And when you dry a glass and you've used water that has minerals, those minerals the bubbles are gonna stick to those minerals. So your glass might be perfectly clean, but the bubbles stick to the minerals. So what I do is I always take a nice lint-free cloth, and before the glass is dry, I dry it with that cloth, and that gets all those minerals and everything out. And then I don't have the issue by using the lint-free cloth. The only downside to that is it takes a lot of time to do that on every glass.
Plus, a nice cold rinse works too.
That's what I was about to ask, because especially for a guy like Todd who has 5 million glasses in his barn, where a guy like me, I use the same 3 beer glasses. So when I'm at home drinking, it's a lot easier to wash it, dry it appropriately, and then serve. Would you say, James, obviously the rinse, would you rinse every time before you pour, like just to be on the safe side of making sure those minerals aren't in there? Or do you rinse
I usually do it the first time, but if I've got like Todd, he's got a really cool rinsing and bottle glass washer. So you can do a quick rinse, and you see a lot of bars. I know we have that have the bartender will rinse the glass before he pours a pint. You can do that with the faucet in my house. You can click a button and it turns into a spray head. That's what I use. Quick rinse and then pour a beer, but I only do it the initial. When I have beer on tap, which I don't have.
The thing Todd uses is kind of what we had at the CMB booth at the brew. And I found myself volunteering to serve the beer because I was having so much fun with that thing. I mean, if you want to get me to do chores, make it enjoyable. And like this thing, they give you their beer glass and you put it on the rinsing rod. I don't know what you'd call that. I need to have to clip this for a GIF because that doesn't look good in my video now that I'm looking at it. But you do that.
It does not look appropriate.
It gets soapy, whatever. And then you put it, and then you push the other thing on, and it gets the rinsing part of it all done. And then Todd even goes at his barn a step further, and you have RO water. Like I don't know if it's cold or just room temperature, in a bucket next to it that you then dunk and rinse, and then boom, you put it up, and then like you said before it dries, that lint-free cloth, and you're good to go.
If you're using the RO water, it doesn't have any minerals, so you don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Even if you let it dry without a cloth.
Right.
So.
Oh, good point. Okay. Yeah. And I see you 9 out of 10 times that is your method. The 1 out of 10 times is because you didn't fill up the machine and you don't care about my glass being dirty, and you tell me just wash your own glass, and you don't care. So.
You mean when I just spit in it and wipe it off with a cloth? Yeah.
Yes.
A spit shine glass.
Spit shine. I do. Here's another trick. It's not going to help you if your glass has minerals in it. If you pour, obviously you have some time. No one's doing live videos or whatever with showing their beer. You pour your beer and there's bubbles in it, and you're like, I can't. Or pardon me, I'll bleep that out. Sorry, Mom. You say, oh darn, fiddlesticks, there's bubbles on my glass. Take your glass. This is not clear. This is my Bill Miller mud that has tea in it. Yeah, exactly. You just find a hard surface, preferably, a countertop, and you just
tap it.
Just tap it. That's all you got to do. and you watch the bubbles go away, take your picture. Boom. I've had to do that, friends, many a time because I'm not going to re-pour, and there's no point to, because like Todd said, most of the time it's not an indicator of literal dirt. Your glass is safe to drink from. It's minerals that the carbonation are leaching to. They're like, oh, hey, look at that mineral. It's an oil that they're leaching to. So it's not like, oh, these bubbles, I can't drink it now. No, of course you can still drink it, probably. But
yeah. Last but not least, one other suggestion would be a lot of times if you have hard minerals, your glasses start to build up with them. If that happens and you're seeing like calcium deposits, just mix up some water and vinegar and soak your glass in that, and it'll take all that off.
Oh, so, that's a good point too. If you're trying to, a lot of the times, I think calling it dirty is probably scientifically correct, but I don't know because the connotation that comes with dirty, people think like, oh no, it's unhygienic.
No, I would not say it's dirty if it's because of minerals. I mean,
well, that's what I mean.
Dirty.
But people, well, they call it DGM, Dirty Glass Mafia. People, that is a term that they use.
Is it really?
Yeah, and I've learned that because I've posted like in the early days a photo and not even thinking about seeing the bubbles, and people, they don't even comment on the head retention. They don't comment on the beer, the clarity. They're like, DGM, boo. Boo! And then I get off of Reddit forever. But like they're just mean. They're just mean. And I know most of the time they're just trying to let you know, hey, your beer glass is dirty. But like Todd said, a lot of the times I bet it's not dirty in the traditional sense of how we use that word.
It's not bacteria dirty. It's minerals that collect. I know Todd and I both live out in the country. We have to deal with hard well water, and hard well water can do that. I can remember taking a glass. It was right after we talked about that. And I literally had a scrub brush, a scouring pad, and I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned. Couldn't get it to stop doing that. So I knew the glass was clean. It was just, there was something on there. There was some mineral on there, and I'm sure it was probably lime. And we have a lot of that in well water here in Texas.
We really do.
Attracted to.
We have very hard water and all throughout Texas. And here where I'm at too is rough. But to address that, like you said, the vinegar thing would work. The lint-free cloth would work. There's a lot of solutions, but ultimately, at the end of the day, don't worry about it too much. If you keep pouring and getting the bubbles, and you're trying to share stuff to your beer group, do my trick, and it's going to work. And then that takes the stress off your shoulders because you know that you're clean. I think. I mean,
relax, have a homebrew.
I don't know you, Edward. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. If you're in Austin, you're relatively clean. So. You're right down the road from us. I'd hope no filthy Austinites are drinking from dirty beer glasses, but
their water's way better than ours around here.
Yeah. But again, like Todd was saying, he uses RO water a lot of the times on the rinse. Is that on purpose to avoid the minerals? Is that why?
Yeah.
Sometimes
I'll mix a little vinegar in too, just a tiny bit of vinegar.
I don't give you enough credit for how smart you are, man. You're very foolproof.
I have to tell you, I'm ready to move from this question because this last question is one of my favorite questions in a long time.
Is it really?
I'm so excited about this question.
Well, let's move on, and I'll kick it to you first. But all right, Edward, thank you.
So Murray, do you have Murray? Because we're going to need Murray for this question.
I don't. I put him in his kennel because
okay.
I'm getting him fixed soon because all he does is lick himself, and it's so loud, and I don't. My processor just died. My replacement one's coming in actually today. It was supposed to come in yesterday, and FedEx had to delay. Go figure, James, that FedEx has delays, and that doesn't sound like FedEx. But anyway, I didn't want y'all to have to hear. He is so loud, and I'm like, dude, we're fixing you, man. Sorry, I can't have that. Can't have you.
That's exactly what the next question's about. So I'm
Okay, so Edward, thank you so much for submitting your question. Moving on to our final question for this week's episode, came from our buddy Ryan S., who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Ryan wrote, how concerned are you with contaminants in your wort prior to boil? During a recent brew day, my puppers, his puppy dog, managed to sip from our boil kettle towards the end of our mash. Honestly, I'm not sure how much he drank, but my buddy caught him and got him to stop. Our batch is fermenting, and now my buddy is griping that he doesn't want to drink from this batch because of what my dog did. We both listened to the show, so please tell us if he should calm down or not. I think Ryan means towards the end of his sparge, because that's when there would be wort in the boil kettle. And certainly I'd hope it was before the water was getting up to temperature, because that could have hurt your pupper's tongue. But in regards to contaminants, Todd, you're the most excited about this question, so I'll kick it to you. What do you think about Ryan and his friend?
Well, I mean, we had this happen, not exactly the same, but we had a bunch of RO water we collected in 5-gallon buckets last time we brewed. Oh, yeah. And Murray was he was drinking the water out of the bucket we were about to brew.
You're right.
With, right?
He was.
And as you mentioned, he licks himself quite a bit. So there was a little dog ball stuff in our beer that we brewed, but we didn't really think anything of it. We were like, I think I may have scraped the little water off the top after he finished drinking. But yeah, I mean, before you boil, it's not a big deal. No. I mean, a little dog slobber isn't going to hurt you. No, I think your friend's overreacting. I mean,
I think your friend needs to Google chicha beer, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Or, I mean, if I had to choose between that dog you have and the friend, I don't have to say who I think you'll choose,
No, I had two approaches to it. Well, first off, we could call that, because that was the ale I brewed, we could call it dog ball ale and just have fun with it.
We could. Yeah.
I figured we had two approaches. We answered correctly, which is, Ryan, your buddy, you're listening, you didn't give your buddy's name, otherwise I'd address you, buddy, by your name, but you have nothing to worry about, because the boil got it out of there. I'm 99% sure it did. A scientist will write me and go, here's why you're wrong, Joshua. But you probably got it out there. But the other approach I was going to take was, Ryan, your buddy's right. You shouldn't share any of that batch with him. You should
send it to us.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Give us his portion, just for the show, just so we can, try to guess what type of dog it was. We'll have fun. But your buddy, I wouldn't drink from it, man, because that doesn't seem sanitary. So that Ryan would be able to have more of his own beer. But no, there's nothing. I think Todd is usually, there's two times I see Todd ultra relaxed on a brew day. It's usually pre-boil, and I mean, as long as the numbers are there in the mash, like if y'all are getting to the conversion you want, obviously then you can calm down. But Todd doesn't worry about contaminants too much pre-boil, and you don't worry about contaminants like transferring into secondary. That's not to say he doesn't worry about the transfer part and oxidation, but it's beer. There's alcohol present. The contaminant part, you'd have to kind of really go out of your way to mess it up at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do sanitize my secondary fermenter before I transfer it over, and I sanitize my keg before I transfer it over. If I've gone from a primary to a secondary and now I'm going in a keg, I'm not even sure rinsing it with water and not sanitizing would hurt anything, because the beer's done. It's got alcohol in it. You're probably not going to have a problem. It always cracks me up when people sanitize they've cleaned their beer line and then they run sanitizer through their beer line. I'm like, it's not going to go bad when it's going through the beer line into your glass and then you drink it. It takes a little longer than that.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I do sanitize just because.
Of course.
Why not? But I don't know that it's really necessary when you keg.
Right. But and then like Ryan's saying too,
pre-boil, nothing to worry about.
I'll just say, y'all's worries. I mean, I see on a brew day with the two of y'all, I know Todd is going to be taking temperature, and I know James is going to be checking gravity. Like that. Like you basically walk around with a refractometer, and Todd has his thermometer, and that's y'all. Yeah. Like Todd will go in like 3 minutes ago it was this temperature, and even on our BrewTag system, it is very accurate. And Todd's like, I don't trust those things ever on any system here. Oh, and the temperature set, it says 155 up there, and he's like, okay, the thermometer says 154.9. See, I told you. And then, like I said, James, you are always with that refractometer. I love it because y'all produce the best beer of anybody I've ever known. So it obviously works, but I sometimes me and my dad forget to take gravity at all. And we're like, oh God, don't tell James.
I check gravity a lot too.
You do. You do.
Yeah. But when I brew by myself,
right.
I'm like I've got a refractometer, a thermometer in each hand. I'm just going.
But when James is there, we prefer him to hold the refractometer and the hydrometer.
Well, I'm fine with a refractometer. It's a hydrometer that there's been some issues with.
They're more durable because I've seen you drop refractometers before, and they're just durable. I've seen you drop.
And you drop a hydrometer, it's done.
You know about that, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're what does your wife say? You're a rhino in a china cabinet, or how does she say it wrong?
Bull in a china cabinet.
No, I was gonna say. she said it wrong, right? I was purposely saying it wrong to mimic her. Now people are gonna go, Josh, you're an idiot again, going down rabbit trails. Oh, idiot. Anyway, so Ryan, thank you so much for submitting your question, fellas. That's all I've got for this week. I feel like we covered a lot. I like these kinds. I think this was one of the more unique week of questions. There's Todd with his refractometer sticker.
Yep.
Todd, James, that's a collector's item because I think we're out of those. And Todd canceled the credit card I had, so I can't order more. So I wanted to. Those became Todd's. He's so funny. So I have another Bill Miller mug that has all of our stickers on it. And I get more more inquiries from the 2 Todd stickers I have. Him with the broken hydrometer. And
that's the best one. I don't have that one.
It is we're out of that one too. And Todd's like, why do you have my stickers on your glass? It's so weird. And then people send us in photos of their teaser builds, and there's Todd's face right on the front of their teaser. And he's like,
oh no, we had a customer that ordered one the other day, and I was doing the order because we were shorthanded, and I was doing an order, and we were out of them. And I called the guy, and I was like, hey man, we don't have any of those stupid stickers with a picture of me with a broken hydrometer on it. And why would you possibly pay money for one of those anyway? But I was going to substitute it with this, so
that's so funny. Yeah. Todd doesn't even believe we have an audience. He thinks I've been making this up. I'm paying these people to call in and place $low orders for stickers to convince him to keep my job. That's how I've been here for 13 years, friends. That's
I believe we have an audience. I just think that you had two zeros to our numbers. So
yeah, you're right. It's a dozen, not 12,000. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Ryan, for submitting the question.
3 zeros.
Yeah, 3 zeros. That, like I said, guys, that's it. I appreciate y'all's time. I know, Todd, you've got a doctor's appointment that the longer we're taking on here, the longer it's going to take you to get out of the office. So I hope you start feeling better soon. James, thank you so much for your time, and I'll catch y'all next week.
Okay. Right, sounds good. Take care.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or now you can go or call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsor, tintackers.com, for supporting us and the homebrewing community. Remember, you can go to tintackers.com, use promo code homebrewer, and save yourself some money. Check out all of our photos and stuff we have. We love Tin Tackers. Thank you guys for supporting the show. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.